Hi, I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. Here is the latest on the severe weather possibilities for today. Heads up weather for the Ozarks does still show a 10% tornado probability in that area you see on the screen there, shaded in yellow. Thought they might back off on that a little bit, but they have not. Let's dive into the details. Here's the overview. At the 500 millibar flow, we still have this very deep low pressure area that extends the entire length of the United States from Canada down to Mexico. And embedded in that, we have a jet streak, if you will, stronger winds now coming out of New Mexico into the plains. Generally, the winds aloft are favorable for severe weather. We have no issues with broad shear. That shear is going to support supercells no matter where they happen to form anywhere in this zone. So let's dive in here and take a look at, for the Ozarks now, we are still at a level 3 out of 5 for any type of severe weather for today. So here's Springfield right here in Greene County. And you can see most of the Ozarks is in 3. You folks out east may be seeing a diminishing effect from these storms, but you're still in a severe weather threat area out here. I should point out, northwest Arkansas definitely included in this. So speaking of that area, so this hasn't changed. The tornado parameter is still set at 10% forecast. That means 10% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile circle. And yesterday in the afternoon, they upgraded that to include almost up to Springfield. I go ahead and include us if I were you, and then down to the south and west of that. Well, that has not changed with the morning outlook today and the late morning outlook today. So we're holding our ground on that, and I'll show you some model data. It's a little shaky. It's interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out later today. Still think we're going to get some tornadoes probably somewhere in that yellow area. Here is the CSU probability outlooks. They do highlight that small little area right there in Arkansas, and the hail threat is going to be up where the stronger jet stream winds are, certainly, and there's a general sort of wind threat across all of the area as well. Now, they did adjust NATOcast here, and this was a little bit more of an oval. Now it's a little more of a linear feature. Featuring a 5% tornado risk. That's the brown right here, almost exactly mirroring what the Storm Prediction Center outlined for the 10% tornado risk. So they're a little bit more ambitious than this particular guidance. Let's take a look at a few things here. First of all, the visible satellite. You can see right here we have thunderstorms very active. This was not really anticipated, I will say that, and it does kind of lend some credence to the idea that the shorter range convection allowing models are having some difficulty with this. That's because it's not real focused. We have a broad jet stream flow and no real short waves in this. I'm overlaying instability on here, so the deepest Cape values up to about 1,000, 1,100 are just now crossing from Texas across the Red River into Oklahoma. So that's going to help feed this area, generally speaking, over the next 6 to 12 hours or so. And these thunderstorms are going to continue to move this way. But we can just take a look at the loop here and see what those are doing. So those are moving up toward Kansas City. A few of those, the southern end of this, may clip the Ozarks here later on this afternoon. But this development area here is just very interesting to me. And if it holds true, then some of these storms, like you see some of these very, very embryonic ones down here in Texas, if you see on the bottom of your screen, I think that might start to fill in a little bit. That would suggest an earlier arrival for thunderstorms that are capable of producing severe weather in the Ozarks. And there will also be another evening arrival, I think, and there's also the front. So let's do this. Let's take a look at the 6 p.m. This is the HRRR simulated radar. What it shows is a large cluster of thunderstorms. Some of those could be severe, but I'm thinking a lot of them won't be. I don't see any indications of strong supercell development. If you saw those, you would see these little snail trails like this one up here in Kansas. You see how it has that little black streak right there? That's a rotating updraft, or at least that's what the radar simulation is indicating. Notice there's a couple of supercells that want to form back here. So that's 6 p.m. tonight. Let's look at a different convection allowing model. This one has a lot less convection, and it has a little bit of supercell indicators right around Fort Smith, and also some that are forming back here along what I think is going to be the dry line by that point. So those will move up into this area in theory. Now let's go to 9 o'clock. We'll go back to the HRRR. It does show supercells developing in this area. It's almost as if this part of the tornado forecast was custom made really for this development right here. And also, if we change to the other resolution, convection allowing, we still see there. I wonder if I got the right one there. I'm not sure. I think I'm showing the same one. Anyway, it is basically the same type of pattern. And then if we go to midnight, HRRR still has supercells, down around Newton and McDonald County, stretching up to around Springfield, and then a separate line here, and then the cold front here. That's the HRRR. And then on the HRW, it just shows by this time a congealed line of storms with some embedded supercells in them. So which one is true? Probably a blend of all those and even a few more. So it looks to me like what will happen is a thunderstorm area will develop that will be innocent at first, and they'll kind of move into southwest Missouri, and then supercells will form right behind it and then track up toward the northeast through the evening hours. I think you can almost bet on some sort of probably a tornado watch being issued for at least from Springfield on west at some point late this afternoon into the evening hours, and then they'll revise whether they need to move that east at a later time. Okay, so that is all we know on that right now. I'm going to watch it very carefully today. I'm going to move ahead to Tuesday, believe it or not, because this cutoff low at 500 millibars, I've been watching this closely, and it looks as if it's just kind of coming out now with its stronger winds on Tuesday at about noon coming into the plains here. And so the SPC has issued a general 15% broad brush forecast for all of the Ozarks for Tuesday. That extends from almost Springfield, Illinois, certainly including St. Louis, all the way down to Dallas and points south. So something to keep an eye on, and the probabilities on that from the CSU model are is that updated? No, I don't think I did. I needed to update that because that's the old outlook here. Anyway, it pretty much agrees with Tuesday's forecast, still kind of putting the highlight up there in Michigan. I did, before I leave this, talk about rainfall. I didn't want to talk about that tonight. If this is a kind of a broad forecast for rainfall with 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches down in Arkansas, but boy, you can see how the individual cells are even showing up here. So I would almost speculate that this area here in particular would get the heaviest rain. And in fact, when you look at it just with your eyes kind of crossed a little bit, and you're looking for flash flooding guidance, there is a slight risk of that in this yellow zone right here from Springfield south for tonight. It just means that there's about a 15% chance at least, maybe up to a 40% chance that rainfall will exceed flash flood warning guidance. So that's it for this video. I'll watch it throughout the afternoon, of course. Any watches that are posted, I'll let you know. Any additional graphics, I probably won't make a full video, but I'll probably go ahead and post it on Facebook. Thanks for watching.